Goswami, O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. And these are the rest 6 verses that we don't generally chant. But this is the rest of it. Shri Guru Vandana. By making the dust of the Vaishnava's feet the ornament of my body, ecstatic love comes. Washing the Vaishnava's lotus feet is my method of worship. By always associating with the Vaishnavas, I shall overcome the darkness of ignorance. O Srila Sanatana Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami, who are 2 deep wells of the nectar of pure love, 2 personifications of the splendid nectar of the divine couple, and the 2 desire trees, by whose mercy the entire world is free from suffering. All glories to you. In your books, you 2 great souls clearly describe Prema Bhakti. You are reservoirs of the sweet nectar of the divine couple. Hearing about you brings bliss to the heart. Their sweet mellows are my shelter. You are fabulously wealthy, possessing ecstatic love for the youthful divine couple, a love more precious than gold purified in 10,000 flames. O Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, all glories to you. I beg you, please give me in charity some of these jewel necklaces. I shall eternally engage in the 9-fold processes of devotional service, which is the essential message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I shall not worship the demigods. Oh brother, I say to you, devotional service is the most exalted kind of worship. Make the words of the Guru, Sadhus, and Shastras one with my heart. So in making the words of the Guru, Sadhus, and Shastras one with my heart, I constantly float and swim in the ocean of pure love. I am different from the karmis and jnanis who have no devotion for Krishna. Narottama Das speaks the truth. So this, we can understand, you see, from, we can see this, Narottama Das Thakur's mood, we can see. So I can start singing this. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bandhan Muri Savadhana Mate sange anukshana. Ajnana avidya paraja. Ajnana avidya paraja. Jaya Sanatana Rupa Prema Bhakti Rasa Kupa. Yugala Ujjala Maya Tanu. Yugala Ujjala Maya Tanu. Yahara Prasadi Loka Pasari Losa Shoka. Prakata Kalapa Taru Prakata Kalapa Taru Prema Bhakti Riti Yodo Nijagante Suvikata. Vikiya Chendri Vikiya Chendri Mahasha. Yahara Shravana hoite Premanande Basi Chitte. Yugala Madhura Ratasya. Yugala Madhura Ratasya. Yugala Kishore Prema Laksha Bana Yeno Heno Dhana Prakashyo He Shastra Guru Vakya Hridoye Koriyaya Sadhu Shastra Guru Hridoye Koriyaya Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Hridoye Koriyaya Jai Shri Narottama Thakur ki Jai. So this is a bhajan from Prema Bhakti Chandrika. This is the first song in the entire Prema Bhakti Chandrika. And once Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was asked, how do we go and get Prema? What is the price for getting Prema? What do we need to do to get love of Godhead? And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji replied, oh, to get love of Godhead, you only need 5 anna. What's 5 anna? Well, it's how many annas make a paisa? Anyway, a paisa, okay, 100 paisas make 1 rupee. So, and maybe how many ever annas make a paisa? He said just by 5 annas, you can go and get prema. You can go and get love of God just by 5 annas. And, just by, and everyone asked him, what does that mean? So then he said that we can go to the marketplace and buy these 2 books. What are the 2 books? Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana. And just by reading these 2 books, Prema Bhakti Chandrika and Prarthana, and making these books one with our heart, we can totally get love of Godhead. So this is the opinion of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is the spiritual master of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So we can see in this bhajan also, this is the mood of Narottama Das Thakur. Narottama Das Thakur is helping us understand how we can get love of Godhead very easily. And Narottama Das Thakur is such an important figure in the Gaudiya Vaishya Sampradaya. He was born, he was actually a prince. He was born to kings. And even when he was born, Narottama Das Thakur's transcendental body had the symptoms of all the symptoms of a great Mahajan, of a great Mahapurusha. That usually we see when people are born in this material world, our eyes, our eyes are so small, such small eyes. But Narottama Das Thakur's eyes were like lotuses, going all the way back till here. Huge, beautiful eyes. And he had beautiful limbs, beautiful facial features. And even his hands would go beyond his knees. That's one of the symptoms of a great Mahashan, of a great Mahapurusha. It's a very great transcendental personality. And when he appeared in this world, he was, of course, he was loved by his parents and all these things. But he always felt, like a longing to go and associate with the devotees of Lord Chaitanya and with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. He always felt that need to do so. And Narottama Das Thakur was such a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya that, just by looking at his life, we can see how much just hankering for the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya, a hankering for the association of Lord Chaitanya, we can actually make so much advancement just by feeling that separation from the Lord and his associates. Narottama Das Thakur was such a person. He was also very dear to Lord Chaitanya. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing kirtan on the bank of the river Padma, and he was looking in the direction of the village, and while he was performing kirtan, all of a sudden, in the middle of his kirtan, he started shouting, Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. That at that point of time, Narottama Das Thakur hadn't appeared. He was shouting, Lord Chaitanya was screaming, who is this? Narottam, Narottam, Narottam. And all the devotees were trying to find out. They went into the village, they tried to ask, is there anyone called Narottam here? And they said, no, this person hasn't arrived. There's no such person here. Understand that such a great personality, Narottama Das Thakur was going to be born, was going to appear in this village nearby. So what Lord Chaitanya did is that he was about to enter the Padma river, and right when he was about to enter the Padma river, the whole river got very agitated. The whole river got very agitated, and she really couldn't handle the intensity of Lord Chaitanya's presence. And she comes personified in front of Lord Chaitanya, and she asks Lord Chaitanya how she can serve him, and then Lord Chaitanya tells her that he wants to give this great wealth of love of Godhead that he has. He wants to deposit it with the river Padma. And then when a very great soul called Narottama Das Thakur comes and bathes in this Padma river, that wealth of love of Godhead needs to be transferred to him. So, Padma asks him, how will I know? How will I know when this person comes? Then Lord Chaitanya says, so many people bathe in me, how will I know such a person is actually coming, and this is such a person I need to give it to? So then Lord Chaitanya says that even when he enters your waters, the same thing which happened when I entered your waters, where he got completely agitated, will happen to him. And that point of time should give this love of Godhead to this person, Narottama. So when Narottama Das Thakur appeared, his body was Shama. His color was like a transcendental blackish blue when he appeared. But then, one day, he was, feeling so much separation from the devotees of Lord Chaitanya that one day Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him in his dream and told him, my dear Narottama, now is time for you to go bathe in the Padma river. Lord Chaitanya has left a great wealth for you there. So Narottama Das Thakur goes and bathes in this Padma river, and then right when he steps into this Padma river, the whole river, she becomes very agitated. And then Padma understands that this is a person that Lord Chaitanya asked me to give this great love of Godhead to. So the minute Narottama Das Thakur gets this love of Godhead, his entire body transforms into a golden hue. He becomes completely golden, just like Lord Chaitanya. And just by receiving this wealth of love of Godhead, we can't even understand, we can't even conceive of what happens when a person receives this great wealth of love of Godhead that Lord Chaitanya deposited just for them. We cannot conceive of this. So Narottama Das Thakur goes on, and he understands that he has to go to Vrindavan to go meet all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. He wanted to go all these places to meet associates of Lord Chaitanya. And he was performing so many austerities. He was going there by foot. Of course, his parents didn't approve of him joining the Krishna consciousness movement. Just like now, the parampara goes on. They didn't approve of him joining the Krishna consciousness movement, but he went and did it anyway. Who cares? So he was going on road, and sometimes he would go and he would feel so much separation. He would feel so much separation that he'd want to go. And sometimes he would just feel so tired that he would collapse. And once Lord Chaitanya appeared to him as a Brahmana boy and gave him some milk to drink. But then he wasn't drinking it. So then Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, they came up to him. They came to him in a dream and told him, my dear Narottama, Lord Chaitanya came to give you milk. Why aren't you drinking that milk? So then he drinks that milk and he feels more nourished. And he finally makes it to the place where all the devotees were supposed to be. But every time he was just about to go meet the devotees, 1 or 2 days before he could meet them, they would leave their body. 1 or 2 days before they could meet them, they would leave their body. They would disappear from this world. And this increased Narottama Thakur's longing for him, for associating with them. That even when Narottama Thakur he wanted to go see Gadadhar Pandit, and he wanted to understand, that the meaning and the purport of the Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. He goes to meet him, and right before he goes, Gadadhar Pandit also disappears. And then the Bhagavatam is in Gadadhar Pandit's hands, and he wants to open and he wants to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. But when he opens and he sees the Srimad Bhagavatam, all the ink is completely gone. Everything is completely gone. The whole book, there's nothing, like just smudged ink everywhere. And then he understood that this is actually the way to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Gadadhar Pandit would feel so much ecstasy reading the Srimad Bhagavatam that his tears would just fall on the Bhagavatam and they would completely smudge everything. Then he understood that this is the real import of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that how we can actually associate with the Srimad Bhagavatam, just like Gadadhar Pandit was so deeply getting absorbed in the pastimes of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was getting so deeply into this Srimad Bhagavatam that he was just crying tears. And, Narottama Thakur understood the import of this, of understanding this, of how to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Narottama Thakur, he's no ordinary personality. Wherever he would just miss. Can you imagine, just missing? Some devotees have had this experience of joining the Krishna consciousness movement in 1977. And in a few months, Prabhupada was going to come to New York, or Prabhupada was going to come to France, or wherever they were. They were just going to finally meet Srila Prabhupada, the person that you've heard about and you dedicated your life to. You're about to meet them. And 1 month before your initiation is scheduled, Prabhupada disappears. Can we understand the heaviness of this? Narottama Thakur has been hearing about Lord Chaitanya and his associates for so long. And then right before he goes to meet them, they leave they disappear from this world. And this was, it's too much for Narottama Thakur. This fire of separation that he feels from the Vaishnavas is unprecedented. And this is actually the way of making advancement in Krishna consciousness. The way one makes advancement in Krishna consciousness is by feeling separation from Krishna. But we never met Krishna, right? At least we don't have a memory of meeting Krishna. Long time ago we were in the spiritual world, but not any time recently. We're not in the spiritual world. So how do we feel separation from Krishna? We feel separation from Krishna by feeling separation from his devotees. That's how we feel separation from Krishna. My spiritual master once told me that the feeling of separation from Srila Prabhupada is a rocket fuel that will fuel one's spiritual life. That if you just feel anxiety and separation from Srila Prabhupada and want to serve his mission really bad, and our only goal in life is to someday have the association of Srila Prabhupada with our spiritual master, that will actually be the perfection of our life. Just by feeling that separation, then we will be able to get over all these other miseries that we experience in this world. All these other things, all these other tribulations, they'll be of little to no value whatsoever. Why? Because we have a much greater pain. We have that great pain of separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from the great devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by having this, all our mundane attachments will go to hell. They won't even exist. They won't even bother us anymore. That's why, yes, Vani is more important than Vapu. Yes, the spiritual master's instructions, that they last forever. But the Vapu of the spiritual master, the transcendental form of the spiritual master may not last forever. Therefore, by serving the instructions of the spiritual master, a disciple can associate with the spiritual master directly. But it's not that when the spiritual master is on the planet, we don't care. Anyway, more important is to have your instructions. So when the guru comes, where are all the devotees of Guru Maharaj? We just send them all on book distribution because that's what you said in your lecture. No, we're here to welcome him. We're here to receive him. We're here to receive him. We're here to welcome him. And by associating with the spiritual master, one develops so much attachment for the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master is not there, he goes from one place to another. And that point of time, that separation that the disciple feels from the spiritual master, that actually is the most transcendental feeling that living entity has had since 20 million births minimum. Prabhupada said we've been in this material world for a minimum of 20 million births. Minimum. So, Parameshwar Prabhu was saying this in a class that he gave to us in Miami. I asked him for a reference. He'll probably give it to me soon. So, anyway, since time immemorial, we've been in this material world. And the first really transcendental feeling that the living entity has is actually that feeling of love and separation from the spiritual master. For the first time in a long time, we're actually having genuine transcendental feelings. And Narottama Thakur has taught the entire world as to how to feel separation from the previous acharyas, how to feel separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Narottama Thakur is such a great personality. He's such a fired up personality. He actually revolutionized Krishna consciousness all over the world. Revolutionized Krishna consciousness in order for it to spread all over the world. Narottama Thakur would go to meet all these devotees and they would all disappear. But Krishna was very kind to him, for he gave him the association of Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami was the last Goswami who was present on this planet. And then Narottama Thakur, he went and he started taking shiksha from Jiva Goswami along with Shyamananda Pandit and Srinivas Acharya. Three of them were Shiksha God brothers. They made a pact that they'll stay in Vrindavan forever and learn all the literatures of the Goswamis from Jiva Goswami. And they, of course, were proficient in all this. But before this, actually, Narottama Thakur was looking to be initiated by a bona fide follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he had this realization that the person who has to be his spiritual master, I think Lord Chaitanya appears to him in a dream. I'm maybe a little fuzzy on this small detail. But anyway, he has this realization that he needs to be initiated by Lokanath Goswami and no one else. That's why in his bhajan also he sings, Lokanath Lokira Jivana. He's always glorifying his spiritual master, begging him for his mercy. So Lokanath Goswami was a spiritual master of, Narottama Thakur approached him many times. My dear Lord, please kindly make me your disciple. And many times, Lokanath Goswami said, no, I don't want to take any disciples. I've taken a vow to not take any disciples. Therefore, I won't take any disciples. But then, Narottama Thakur was very insistent. He thought that if I do not receive the mercy of Lokanath Goswami, I will leave my body and die. That's how a bona fide disciple should feel. That if I cannot receive the mercy of my spiritual master, it's better that I die. There is nothing better to do. There's nothing to do in this material world. There's nothing to do anywhere without the without the mercy of a spiritual master. Therefore, if we should think, if we do not receive the mercy of a spiritual master, what's the use of living? If he's bona fide, that is not some bogus spiritual master. But the spiritual master is bona fide, and if we cannot receive his mercy, what is the use of living? There is no use. What good have we done? What can we get? What great things will our intelligence help us achieve? Nothing. Where has our great intelligence and qualities and sense of discrimination, blah, 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 where did they get us? They simply got us into one womb after another. They simply got us into repeated birth and death. We're so proud of our knowledge or of our degrees. So yes, I went to this school and I have this degree, and I'm coming from such a wealthy family, or I'm coming from such a pure family. My family is so pure. My family is so influential. My family is this, my family that. I am so great. But what does Narottama Thakur say? Vidya kule ki kori betar. What is the use of all your family education, wealth and all these things if you do not have attachment for the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda? What is the use of all these things? Vidya kule ki kori betar. What is the use? What is the use? What has our intelligence gotten us? We've gone here, we've gone there. We've done so many things. But ultimately, asatyere satya kori mani. We take what is false to be true. We go to school. We look at all these things. We go to go and see this concert and that concert, and we look up to this person and that person and that person and this person. But we ultimately think something false to be true. Asatyere satya kore mani. We always think something which is not true to be true. So what's the use? What's the use? Therefore, Narottama Thakur feels, if I don't get the mercy of my spiritual master, I will die. So better, either I receive his mercy or I'll die. One of the two things. One of the two things. Either I receive his mercy or I die. So every morning, Narottama Thakur, he knew the spot where Lokanath Goswami would go and pass stool. So he knew that spot. So every morning before Lokanath Swami would actually go and pass stool, every time Narottama Thakur would actually clean that place very thoroughly. And it's not like we have a bathroom or something. No, they would go and they would pass in the woods. So Narottama Thakur would clean it personally with his own hands. And he would consider this to be like his greatest ecstasy. Wow, this is so amazing. I'm getting to do such menial service for my spiritual master. You may think, oh, that's so gross. How can he do it? But no, for serving the spiritual master, the disciple is willing to go to any extent. So Narottama Thakur was cleaning that place where where his spiritual master would pass to, and he would keep it clean every day with his own hands, and he would hold the stuff that he was cleaning it with, and he would think, this is the greatest ecstasy. What great ecstasy is there than this? I'm so fortunate. I'm the most fortunate person in the whole world for getting to do such menial service for my spiritual master. There is no better service than this. So Lokanath realized, who is cleaning this place? Who is that person who's cleaning this place? Who's doing all these things? So then one day he comes early and he finds Narottama Thakur cleaning. So then he takes, maybe like a stick or something, and he starts beating him. And you don't, what are you doing? You don't do this. And he gets very, you're coming from such a great birth and all, you can't serve me. And he starts beating him. And then Narottama Thakur takes this as his great mercy. By performing such menial service and by being so determined in his life, he finally was able to receive the mercy of his spiritual master. You're sleeping, Manchi? You can stand up. No, it's sleeping. Okay. Wow, amazing. I guess I have to get new glasses. So Lokanath Swami finally gives his mercy to Narottama Thakur. He gives his mercy to Narottama Thakur. He actually says that this person is actually qualified to be his disciple. And because he's qualified to be his disciple, he showered his causeless mercy upon him. And by showering his causeless mercy upon him, he gave him such great benediction. And he gave him the benediction of becoming a pure devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not that he wasn't, but still, the spirit, we must accept the bona fide spiritual disciplic succession. So, he finally got initiated into the great Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And, he was serving Lokanath Swami so much, Lokanath Goswami so much. And then, Lokanath Goswami told him, now you go and take shiksha from Jiva Goswami. So, when Jiva Goswami was teaching them all the teachings of the great acharyas in Vrindavan, all these three great souls, Narottama Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit and Srinivasa Acharya, they were very blissful in Vrindavan. Very blissful in Vrindavan. They were very happy. They were very happy to serve in Vrindavan. They were very happy to be under Jiva Goswami. I mean, who wouldn't be? They were happy to be under Jiva Goswami. They wanted to learn this from Jiva Goswami. They wanted to get into, just imagine having like the most ecstatic Bhagavatam classes like almost all the time from Jiva Goswami. Prabhupada said there's never been a scholar in this entire world like that of Jiva Goswami. Just imagine like every sentence, every word, every explanation completely blowing your mind to bits and pieces every time. Like when we read Prabhupada's books, it's like imagine being in Prabhupada, imagine, just Your only service, you just have three of you, and you just have to be with like Prabhupada all the time, and he just preaches to you, and that's your service. That's what their service was. They had to learn the great ecstatic teachings of the great of the six Goswamis. So I mean, that's the perfection of life. It doesn't get better than that. They serve the deities left by the six Goswamis with great devotion. I'm sure they were fantastic cooks. I don't know. I'm sure they were though. And they would offer these things to the deities. Everything would be amazing. Everything was perfect. Like Narottama Thakur had his own style of kirtan called Mahashaya Kirtan. Mahashaya, right? That's what it's called. Or Padavali Kirtan. Manohar Shah. Anyway, I'm messing up the names, but Narottama Thakur and Srinivasa Acharya had like their own style of kirtan that they would perform. And it would be just so ecstatic, just like, three extremely elevated God brothers all together serving the spiritual master. And they thought, this is perfect, this is amazing. Let's make a pact that we will never leave Vrindavan. So they thought, wow, Jai, this is perfection of life. But Jiva Goswami instructed them, now that we have taught you all the teachings of the Goswamis, now you go and distribute books. Told them that now you have to go and distribute these teachings of the Goswamis to anyone and everyone that you meet. You have to go village to village, town and Jare Deko Tare Kaha Krishna Upadesh. Now it's your time to go distribute books to whoever you see, wherever you see. Go give them this knowledge. Give them this great wealth. And the Goswamis left, and then they were heartbroken. At least can we be together? No, you can't be together. Prabhu, could you please leave it on, because I want to refer to some of the verses in the bhajan. That's okay. So, now you have to go and preach. Can we be together? No. You can't be together. Narottama Thakur, you go and preach in Bengal. Shyamananda, you go preach in Odisha. That's where's Rasikananda Prabhu's place? You go and preach in Odisha. Srinivasa Acharya, you go preach somewhere else. And they didn't have Zoom. They didn't have if they miss them, like, hey Prabhu, I really miss you. What's going on? No. Go and you preach. You go and you preach. Separately. Go distribute books, all of you. Go to these different places and make everyone Krishna conscious. So this was Narottama Thakur. He was so heartbroken when he received this instruction from a spiritual master. But can he say no? He can't say no. Can he say, oh Guru Maharaj, thanks but no thanks? I beg to differ. No, he won't say it. So, Narottama Thakur had to listen to his spiritual master. So then, he actually went and why did they do it? Why did Jiva Goswami ask him to do it? Why did he ask Narottama Thakur to sacrifice something for so long? In his bhajans, he's always singing, oh, when will I attain the land of Vrindavan? And he's finally attained it. Narottama Thakur sings in Gauranga Bolite Habe. Ara kabe nitai chan karuna hoibe samsara bhashana more. Kabe tu chahabe. When will Lord Nityananda shower his causes mercy upon me? And when will all my material desires go away? And then what does he say? Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha habe man. Kabe hema hera bushri Vrindavan. When all my anarthas will leave me, I will actually be able to go and live in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And then what will he do in Vrindavan Dham? Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti Kabe Hama Bhuja Bhuse Jugala Piriti. He's saying, when I go to Vrindavan, I will study the great works of the six Goswamis. I will study the great works of the six Goswamis. And that's the perfection of my life. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahumara Ash Pratana Karoye Sada Narottama Das. Finally, all his dreams and his desires have completely been fulfilled. Everything he desired for has completely been fulfilled. And now, leave. Now you go. Go and preach. Why? Why did Jiva Goswami give him such a heavy instruction? Why? Why? Because this is Acharya. They feel bad. They feel compassion for the conditioned souls of the age. Loka Mangala. They want to do Loka Mangala. They want to, their activities are meant to benefit the living entities. If Narottama Thakur didn't follow the instruction of the spiritual master, would we be here? Where would we be? What would we be doing? What would we be doing? Recently, like when this miserable body turned 28, I was thinking, I was so grateful that I'm in the Association of Devotees. I was thinking, if I wasn't in the Association of Devotees, what would I have been doing on this day? I'd have probably done like the most degraded things. Like God only knows where I would have been, what I would have been doing. God only knows. Like, where would I have been? It's so scary to actually think where, I mean, just like we met Prabhuji, we met one of our friends in Orlando. What did he tell you? He was saying that until you leave the Association of Devotees and come into the Association of Karmis, you don't really realize how scary the material world is. Like, what did he say? Something like that? He said, you don't realize how scary the material world is until you leave the Association of Devotees and you go and you have to be by yourself. We don't realize how scary what a place this material world is. Dog eat dog. No peace and love is do or die. No one looks out for each other. People are looking to backstab you at every minute. Every minute. Isn't that true? Say yes. Yeah, because I mean, that's our experience in this material world. So many people, so many best friends, I have one of my best friends, like, we say homies for life or whatever, something like that, And, he would tell me everything about his life and I would tell him everything about my life and all these things. But since I took to Krishna consciousness, has a big problem with it. And, he's come to America, but he doesn't even care to say, hey bro, want to meet up or anything. I realized that this is like the most useless relationship that I ever had in my life, and I'm never going to do anything about contacting this person unless he wants to take Krishna consciousness. I have no business. So many of my friends now, they're in America, I don't want to meet them. If they want, we'll meet on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Why? Because it's simply an exploitative relationship. No, but my parents love me so much. My mom loves me so much, so do my brothers and sisters and all these things. And they hate their neighbors so much. If you were born in your neighbor's house, would your parents love you so much? Would they care about you so much? Would they care if you lived or you died? It's simply on the basis of the body. And this relationship is going to go away very soon. Very soon. So, what is the use of all these things? Would we have realized all this if it wasn't for the sacrifice Narottama Thakur made, giving up his dear Vrindavan Dham? We don't even know. I mean, I'm so sinful, I haven't even been allowed to ever go to Vrindavan in my life. And if I'm sure if I go there, I'll have some completely mundane conception of Vrindavan. But what does Narottama Thakur say? What does he say about Vrindavan? Vrindavana Ramyasthana Divya Chintamani Dhama. Can you pull it up? Ratana Mandira Manohara. Oh, you always sing the tune that I'm not wanting to sing. But okay, you can. You only know one tune. Vrindavana Ramyasthan Divya Chintamani Dham. Ratana Mandira Manohar. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful Vrindavan is filled with Chintamani gems and many jeweled palaces and temples. Many regal swans play in the waters of the Yamuna, and in those waters a splendid golden lotus flower grows. In the middle of that lotus is a golden place surrounded by 8 petals. On these 8 petals, the 8 principal gopis reside, and in the center, Lord Shyamasundar and beautiful Srimati Radharani sit on a jewel throne. The great beauty of the divine couple and their charming joking and laughter continually showers nectar everywhere. Narottama Das says, I pray that these blissful, eternal, transcendental pastimes of the divine couple may always be manifested in my heart. This is the Vrindavan that Narottama Das Thakur is living in. This is the Vrindavan and leave. Go distribute books. And I really love this last verse. Orupa labanya rasi, amiya pariche kashi. Hasya parihasa sambhashane. It's so, he's, I was just going for it. We see this that Narottama Das Thakur, he is able to experience this great transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan. He's in Vrindavan Dham. But leave, go distribute books. Go distribute books. The perfection of your life, go do this. Narottama Dasa Koi, Nitya Lila Sukha Moy. Narottama Dasa Koi. Nitya, okay, let's do it. Can I have the mridongo? Nitya Lila Sukha Moy. No, I'll sing it in 3. Vrindavana Ramya Sthan Divya Chintamani Dham Vrindavana Ramya Sthan Divya Chintamani Dham Ratana Mandira Mano Ratana Mandira Manohar Abrita Kalindi Nire Raja Hamsa Keli Kare Tahe Shobhe Kanaka Kama Tahe Shobhe Kanaka Kama तार मध्ये हेमा पिता अष्टधले भेष्ठिता अष्टधले प्रधाना नायिका अष्टादले प्रधाना नायिका तार मध्ये रत्नासने वसिया चेंदुई जने संगे सुंदरी राधिका श्यामा संगे सुंदरी राधिका और पाला बनिया परिचय खासी और पाला बनिया राखी आमिया परिचय खासी हास्य परिहास संभाषणे हास्य परिहास संभाषणे Narottama Dasa Koi Nitya Lila Sukha Moy sakhoy, nitya lila shukamoy. Sadai spuruk mora mane. Sadai spuruk mora mane. Jai Shri Narottama Das Thakur ki Jai. So this is ecstatic. This is Narottama Das Thakur. This is the Vrindavan that he was in, that he was asked to leave. But why did he leave? He did it in order to benefit all the living entities of this world. He did it in order to give us this great Krishna consciousness movement. And the sacrifice he's made is unprecedented. He sacrificed so much. And him being a revolutionary preacher of the absolute truth, he actually created a revolution in the preaching of the Krishna consciousness to such a degree that the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya hadn't seen since the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis. He actually took forward the Guru Parampara to such a, he took it to the forefront of this material energy, and he was preaching so much, he was preaching so staunchly. He was, although he wasn't from a Brahminical background, he would give Brahminical initiation for people. He would preach so strongly against the worship of the demigods, and he would constantly establish that Krishna consciousness is the primary method of actually going back home, back to Godhead. That's the only thing. Everything else is simply useless. Everything else is simply useless. And he established this so staunchly, that many people got envious. Of course, when there's a great, powerful preacher of Krishna consciousness and he's creating a Krishna conscious revolution, there will be many enemies. Say, true then, true now. There will be many enemies and many envious people. And so many envious people tried to stop Narottama Das Thakur's preaching. And they tried this way and that way, but Narottama Das Thakur would always convert them to Krishna consciousness. He would always convert them to Krishna consciousness because he was such a powerful preacher. Narottama Das Thakur, although he's a great Sanskrit scholar and he's completely proficient in all the intricate teachings of the previous Goswamis, he actually composed these bhajans in the most simple Bengali language which any layman can understand. And we can see this over here. Although it's the highest philosophy is all present in this bhajan, the highest philosophy. Everything that we can think of is all right here in this bhajan. The bhajan that we just said, the Guru Vandana. When Narottama Das Thakur wrote the Guru Vandana, he wrote it for our benefit. He knew that the Krishna conscious movement were going to be singing this. Therefore he wrote. All those great acharyas, the Tri Kalagya, they know the effect of their writings. They know how it's going to change their lives. They know the sacrifice they're going to make and how it's going to affect us right now, right here. They know all these things. When these great acharyas, Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana Goswami, write their books, every word they know how it's going to affect the life of that person who will be distribute books. When they read it, they know how it's going to affect their life. Therefore they write it. To give the living entities great inspiration. To give the living entities divine inspiration. So, Narottama Das Thakur was also preaching like this, and once a great king, he was approached by the Shaktas and they told him, this Narottama Das Thakur is doing all this nonsense. He's, initiating people, he's giving them, he's telling that the demigod worship is all bogus. We have to go and defeat Narottama Das Thakur in a debate and just kick him out of Bengal altogether, something like this. So the news came around and Narottama Das Thakur's disciples, Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and Ramakrishna Prabhu, they both had heard about this. So then they heard that the great king is coming. This great king is coming and he's coming with all these scholars and all these people. So if a great king is coming, then they need to make all these arrangements. So both of them dressed themselves as simple village people who one was a potter and other one was selling betel nuts. So when the king's people came to buy these pots and betel nuts from them, they actually they introduced themselves. Oh yeah, we are basically neophytes, or just brand new disciples of Narottama Das Thakur. and we are simply like his insignificant servants. We just got initiated recently, and they were talking to each other in such proficient Sanskrit language that the king's men got like a little like worried, like, whoa, this servant and these prabhus are speaking like such fluent Sanskrit, and they seem to like have all this amazing philosophical understanding as to what the Vedas speak about, and Shastra, and this and that and this and that. They got a little worried. So then, like when the scholar came and he saw these two prabhus like talking like this, then he realized that if I'm not able to defeat these two people who are simply potters and selling betel nuts, I should just give up the whole idea of trying to defeat Narottama Das Thakur and just go back. It's abandon the whole thing and they go back, abandon their thing. Narottama Das Thakur's disciples were so powerful. And then, if my memory serves correctly, that king had a dream where Durga approaches him and tells him, no, you have to go become a disciple of Narottama Das Thakur. And like this, Narottama Das Thakur was preaching so widely. Just see, how much effect his songs have in our life. Like we sing, Narottama Das Thakur is such an integral part of our morning program. That Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote these 8 verses of glorification of the spiritual master thinking of Narottama Das Thakur. That the Guru Vashtakam was inspired by Narottama Das Thakur. He wrote it as an offering to Narottama Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti. Our Guru Puja, a kirtan that we do, Narottama Das Thakur wrote it. Why? This is such an important figure in our life. How much Srila Prabhupada was influenced by Narottama Das Thakur. How many bhajans of Narottama Das Thakur Srila Prabhupada commented on? What's Prabhupada's favorite bhajan? Who wrote it? Narottama Das Thakur. Hari Hari Bhifale Janama Gunayinu. So it's a great, Narottama Das Thakur created such an important impact upon the lives of the devotees that we can't even understand, we can't even imagine. There's so many pastimes of Narottama Das Thakur that come to our mind, but but I'll just say 1 or 2 more. That Narottama Das Thakur, his eternal service in the spiritual world is to boil milk for the divine couple. That's his eternal service in the spiritual world as a manjari. And who is he very close with? Who is he always praying to? Who is he always striving to be under in his bhajans? And who else? Shri Rupa Manjari Pada, Se Mora Sampada. He always strives to be serving under Rupa Goswami and Rupa Manjari. So he's a very intimate associate of Rupa Manjari, and his main service is to boil milk for the divine couple. So sometimes, sometimes he would be performing his bhajan, he would be chanting his japa, like chanting his rounds. He'd be chanting his rounds, and he'd be transported to the spiritual world where he'd be performing his service. And sometimes when he's boiling the milk, his fingers would get burnt. And then when his meditation would break, devotees would actually see that what happened to Narottama Das Thakur's fingers? Why are they burnt? They could understand that he wasn't anywhere near fire, he wasn't cooking. Why were they burnt? Because he's serving the divine couple. Madhurya Ujjvala Rasa Tanu. That he is always absorbed in the blissful transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that fire of separation that Narottama Das Thakur feels for the great devotees and for his dear friends, it's Srinivas Acharya, Ramachandra Kaviraj. It's it really hits the heart home. Like the Narottama Das Thakur feels so much separation from the previous devotees that he says, what is that? Pashane kutibo mata anale pashibo. Goranga gunera nidhi kota gele pabo. That Pashane kutibo mata anale pashibo. I will smash my head against a rock and I'll enter into a fire. Where will I find Lord Chaitanya, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Where will I find him? Imagine you're feeling so much separation from a person that you'd much rather smash your head against a rock. Like imagine you're feeling so much separation that you'd much rather go and ram your head against the wall of our temple outside, in the stone. Or enter into a fire. Sometimes when we're like holding the lamp too much and then the thing is too hot, like we'll put it down immediately. But he's willing to enter into a fire because he feels like that the heat of that fire will actually be more soothing than the fire of separation that he's feeling from the devotees. Goranga gunena riti kota gile pavo. Se sanga sangira sangile hoilo bilash. He says, Se sanga sangira sange hoilo bilash. And he's always praying. When will I find Ramachandra Sangha Mangi Narottama Das? Where will I find this association? Where will I find? That's why it's so important to have good association. It's the most important thing. There's no better thing. Why? Because when you're in good association, every small thing that you're doing wrong will be pointed out to you. And you'll be inspired to also do the right thing. That's actually what good association does. You get like great prasadam, you get the great mercy of the Supreme Lord. You get like all your faults pointed out and all these things. There's the power of association. And Narottama Das Thakur's feeling of separation was so strong that he actually held the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Is momentous, how do you say that? Momentous festival in the history of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Narottama Das Thakur actually held this Keturi Gram Mahotsava, which is like a festival that was conducted in a place called Keturi, where he wanted to iron out all the different understandings or misunderstandings that the different branches of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas had. He wanted to establish the Siddhanta of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. He wanted to establish it. So in order for it to be established, he had arranged for this ecstatic festival where he had invited all the Vaishnavas, all the different Gaudiya Vaishnavas from all the different parts of India. He had invited all of them to come and took care of all their, prasadam and accommodation and everything. Narottama Das Thakur took care of everything. And, he actually had the head of the Keturi Gram Mahotsava. He had Janava Mata, the wife of Lord Nityananda, the female Diksha Guru. He had her as the head of this Keturi Gram Mahotsava, where she was able to completely delineate the entire Siddhanta and iron out all the differences and all the misconceptions that the devotees may have had. And she's a bona fide female Diksha Guru because she's a wife of Lord Nityananda. So, he performed this great, because if he didn't establish the Siddhanta, we wouldn't be here either. He established the Bhakti Siddhanta properly in order for it to be preached. And in this festival, Narottama Das Thakur was reading such an ecstatic kirtan, feeling so much separation from the Panchatattva, from all the devotees of the Supreme Lord, that just by the power of his kirtan, just by his separation, he was able to pull the Panchatattva from the spiritual world, and they came down and they were all dancing in that kirtan. And can you imagine a kirtan so ecstatic that the entire Panchatattva comes and starts dancing in the kirtan, along with all their associates, along with all the previous Vaishnava, all the 6 Goswamis, all the Acharyas. Imagine performing a kirtan so ecstatic that the Panchatattva comes and Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Jagannath Das Babaji and all the Narottama Das Thakur, all these great associates of Lord Chaitanya, imagine they came in that ecstatic kirtan. But now that was the power of Narottama Das Thakur's feeling of separation. He was able to actually bring these personalities into the purview of the devotees. He's able to do it. Why was he able to do it? Because he's completely pure. He came to teach the world how to cry for Krishna. If you can't cry for Krishna, then cry that you can't cry. And if you still can't cry, then cry that you can't cry that you can't cry. If you still can't cry, then you cry that you can't cry that you can't cry. But we have to cry. That for this, Narottama Das Thakur came to teach us this. That we must always learn to feel separation. Why am I in this material world? Why am I rotting away here? Why am I rotting away in this material world? What is the use? Why am I here? Why didn't I leave this body a long time ago? He says in some bhajans, he says, this Narottama should have left his body a long time ago. He says it in Gaurapahu. In Gaurapahu, he says, this Narottama should have left his body a long time ago. Why? Because he's feeling so much separation from the devotees of Krishna. So, the way Narottama Thakur disappeared from this world is, he was feeling so much separation from the devotees that, he was with his two disciples, I think Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and Ramakrishna Das or Ramakrishna Prabhu or whatever. And he told them that, he thinks that it's time for him to go. So all the disciples, they were heartbroken, like, Narottama Thakur is going to leave. So he was bathing in a river, and he got into a river and he told his disciples, just bathe me. And while they were bathing him, Narottama Thakur became like just spotless white milk and just merged into the water. And that's how he disappeared from this world. That's how Narottama Thakur disappeared. And he made such a momentous, he made such an impact that he's one of the most fired up preachers. He's a great book distributor. Actually, there's this book scores of Narottama Thakur, book distribution report of Narottama Thakur. Okay. Prabhu, I'm going to send you a link, if you could please share it. This is what Narottama Thakur wrote. I'm sending it to you right now. You should have got it. Okay. So, written on palm leaves, a letter from Narottama Thakur to Srila Jiva Goswami contains the annual book distribution scores for the year ending on Gaura Purnima, Shaka, 1501, so 1579. That's 1579. That's how many years ago? So 444 years ago, these are the book scores, okay? 444 years ago. So, Srinivas Acharya's book scores, he distributed 6 Bhagavatam with Vaishnava Toshini, 6 Bhagavatam sets, 23 Janananda songs, Govinda Dasa songs, 19, Narottama Das Thakur's Pratna, 11, 1 Nectar of Devotion, 22 Chaitanya Bhagavats, 6 Lochan Das's Chaitanya Mangal, 1 Hari Bhakti Vilas, and 1 Murari Gupta's Kadacha. What are Narottama Das Thakur's book scores? 2 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, 21 Janananda's songs, 56 Pratanas, 45 Chaitanya Bhagavat sets, 5 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets, and 34 Padavalis. Shyamananda Pandit's book scores, 4 Bhagavatam sets, Janananda's songs 10, 11 Govinda Dasa's songs, other songbooks 34, Narottama Das Thakur's Pratna 16, Nectar of Devotion 5, Ujjwala Nilamani 1, 25 Chaitanya Bhagavat sets, 15 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets, Chaitanya Chandamrita sets 15, and Vasagosh Goranga Padavalis 14. So Shyamananda Pandit, you see these are the book scores, See, we don't just do something like, some whimsically. Why do we read out our book scores to the deities? Because our acharyas did so too. Why do we report our book scores to the spiritual master? Because Narottama Das Thakur did it too. This was their World Sankirtan newsletter. No, really, this is their World Sankirtan newsletter. So Narottama Das Thakur concludes his letter with the following emotional comment. Until we are able to develop another type of technology to print the books, due to difficulty involved in creating books by hand, which is being neglected, most of our book distribution program will be postponed. We are sure that one day some magnanimous person will come and will develop the movement of ecstatic love of Lord Chaitanya, another prediction of Srila Prabhupada, of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributing books all over the world. Until then, what will we, persons who are poor, bereft, and abominable, do? What is the benefit? Hear this one out. Talk about being fanatical book distributors. What is the benefit of discussing the stories of the Lord's incarnations, worshipping the Lord's deities, giving musical recitations of the Lord's pastimes, chanting the Lord's names and beads when we have such small scores? Okay? This is Narottama Das Thakur, this is not me. I know it sounds like something I would repeat too, right? No, watch, I'm going to memorize this one. This piece came from Neela Lakshmi Dasi, who has distributed books in Krishna Balaram. All glories to her. But see, this one, Narottama Das Thakur. What is the use when we have such small scores? That's why we say book distribution is the only solution. You know. So, I can end the class here. Either we can chant a bhajan or we can take questions or comments. Okay, so we should sing Prabhupada's favorite bhajan, right? Okay, sing. Oh, you want me to sing? Okay. Hari Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadava Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhu Sudhana Giridhari Gopinata.
Yeah, that's Vishnu John's tune, I think.
Oh, I mean, are you okay with that or like?
Then there's Agni Dev's tune.
What's Agni Dev's tune? Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavayo Namaha. I mean,
I mean, it's the Bengali tune.
Is a Hari Haraya. I mean, I could. Vishnu, which one do you want?
Translation.
Are you Vishnu? That's your initiated name? Okay. Oh Hari, my obeisances to you. Oh Krishna, my obeisances to you, who are born in the Jadu dynasty. My obeisances to Krishna, who are known as Yadava, Madhava, and Keshava. Oh Gopal, Govinda Ram, Sri Madhusudan, Giridhari Gopinath, Madana Mohan. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Nityananda, Sri Advaita Sita. All glories to Hari Guru, the Vaishnava, Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita distribution. All glories to Srila Rupa, Sanatana, Raghunath Bhatta, Sri Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta, and Dasa Raghunath. I offer my obeisances to the feet of these 6 Goswamis. By bowing to them, all obstacles of devotion are destroyed and all desires are fulfilled. And the servant of anyone who serves these 6 Goswamis, the dust of the lotus feet is my 5 types of footsteps. Okay. Birth after birth, may I live with those devotees who serve the lotus feet of these 6 Goswamis. When the 6 Goswamis lived in Vraja, they revealed the places where Radha and Krishna perform their eternal pastimes. Chant the name of Hari in bliss and worship the land of Vrindavan. Fix your mind on the lotus feet of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. Desiring to serve the lotus feet of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, Narottama Das sings his Sankirtan of the holy names of Sri Hari. So Vishnu, which tune should we sing it in? Okay, I don't know if I'll be able to go on full on with the Bengali, okay? So anyway, okay, I'll just pull it up. Huh? Yeah, Lord Chaitanya would also sing this. Yeah, the first part. He told you personally? That's amazing. Oh, you heard it. Okay, okay. Hari Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram. Oh, sorry. Yadavaya Madhava. Sorry. I messed up. Okay, I know this. Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Keshavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Govinda Ram That's how he sung it. I'm singing it exactly how he sang. Madhusudha Giridhari Gopinatha Madhana Mohan Mohan Hari Haraya Namaha Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Hari Haraye Namaha Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhasa Raghunatha Dasa Raghunatha Hari Haraye Namaha. Why don't you sing it then? This is how he sings it. Echai Gosai Kori Charana Vandan Jaha hoite Bignanash Abhishta Puran Hari Haraye Namaha Echai Gosai Jar Muitardar Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagra Hari Haraye Namaha Tadera Charana Se bhi bhakta Tadera Charana Se bhi Bhakta Sane Bha Janame Janame Hoy Abhilash Hari Haraye Namaha. Jechai Gosai Jabe Braja Koile Abha Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash Hari Haraye Namaha. Anande bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majayaman Hari Haraye Namaha. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriya Pada Padma Koriya Nama Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Das Hari Haraye Namaha. Hari Haraye Namaha. Hari Haraye Namaha. Jai Shri Narottama Thakur ki Jai. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyascha.
So everyone can grab some grab the mridanga, grab some kartals, grab wampas, and make your way outside up to the front of the temple.
Okay.
Do a quick shot.